The big meeting room on Nexus Prime was full of strange beings from across the galaxy. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair, looking around at all the different aliens. Some were tall and made of crystal that sparkled in the light. Others had 6 arms and rough skin. There were ghost-like creatures that floated above their seats. Jake had never gotten used to seeing so many different types of life forms in one place. Next to Jake sat Dr. Lisa Carter, a smart woman who studied languages. She was quiet and always thinking. On his other side was Amanda Brooks, who was good at talking to people and making deals. Behind them sat Peter Hayes, a man who knew a lot about different cultures. They were the human team at the Galactic Council. Humans had only been part of the council for 5 years. Before that, they had to prove they were smart enough and peaceful enough to join. It took a long time, but finally the other species said yes. Still, Jake could tell that many of the aliens thought humans were just babies compared to them. Council speaker was a tall crystal being called Vex Thul. His body was clear and threw rainbow colors around the room when light hit it. He had a deep voice that came through the machines that helped everyone understand each other. "We will start today's meeting," Vex Thul said. His voice filled the big room. "We have many things to talk about. Trade problems, who owns which space, and how to share resources." Jake listened as the different species argued about boring things like taxes and shipping routes. The Korthik wanted more money for their goods. The Vailani said some planets were too close to their territory. It was all very normal and dull. Then Vex Thul said something that made everyone pay attention. "Now we talk about the ancient archives. The sacred texts of the foreigners are still locked away. For 3,000 years, no one has been able to read the old language of our ancestors." Jake felt Lisa sit up straighter next to him. She loved old languages and had spent years studying dead tongues from Earth. The archives were famous across the galaxy. They were books written by the foreigners, the first smart species in the galaxy. Everyone knew the foreigners had great wisdom and technology, but no one could read their writing. The knowledge in these books could change everything, Vex Thul continued. If we could read them, we might learn secrets about how the galaxy was made. We might find new ways to travel between stars or cure diseases. A big Korthik with 6 arms leaned forward. His name was General Fox, and he was known for being mean to younger species. "Maybe we should ask our newest friends if they have any ideas," he said. His voice was full of fake kindness. "Humans seem to think they can fix problems that have stumped us for thousands of years." The room filled with laughter. Many of the aliens thought this was very funny. Jake felt his face get hot with anger, but he kept quiet. He had learned that getting mad only made things worse. A floating ghost-like, being named Sarah Lynn, added to the joke. "Yes, let the young species, who just learned to fly between stars, teach us about languages older than their whole civilization." Her voice was like wind through leaves, but it carried a mean edge. More laughter came from around the room. Jake looked at his team. Amanda's jaw was tight with anger. Peter was writing notes, probably about how rude these aliens were being. Lisa just sat quietly, but Jake could see she was thinking hard. The laughing went on for a few minutes. Jake had heard this kind of talk before. Ever since humans joined the council, older species liked to remind them how young and stupid they were. It was like being the new kid at school, except the other kids were thousands of years older and had technology that could destroy planets. Vex Thul finally raised one of his crystal hands to make everyone quiet. "While the council enjoys some humor," he said, and Jake could tell he had liked watching the humans get embarrassed, "we must focus on serious matters. The archives will stay locked until a qualified species can read them." The word "qualified" hit Jake like a slap. He knew it meant not human. The aliens had made it clear that humans were too young and dumb to handle such important things. But then, Jake thought about what Lisa had told him about human history. Humans had figured out lots of old languages that everyone thought were impossible to read. They had decoded Egyptian hieroglyphs and Sumerian writing. They had taken tiny pieces of old civilizations and built whole dictionaries from them. Jake felt something stir in his chest. It was the same feeling he got when someone said humans couldn't do something. His ancestors had climbed the highest mountains and crossed the deepest oceans. They had split the atom and walked on the moon. They had never backed down from a challenge. "We accept the challenge," Jake said, standing up slowly. The room went completely silent. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to look at him. Jake could feel his heart beating fast, but his voice was steady. "Humanity formally requests permission to attempt translation of the Forerunner texts." For a moment, nobody moved. Then the room exploded with the loudest laughter Jake had ever heard. General Thox slammed all 6 of his arms on his desk, making a sound like thunder. "This is the best joke I have heard in years. The species that discovered fire while we were building star empires wants to translate the most sacred texts in the galaxy." Saraline's ghostly form shook with laughter. "Captain Morrison, your enthusiasm is sweet. But surely you understand that our greatest scholars have failed at this task. Beings who have studied ancient languages for centuries could not do it." Jake felt like every alien in the room was pointing and laughing at him. But he also felt something else. He felt proud. Proud to be human. Proud to be part of a species that never gave up. The laughter seemed to go on forever. But Jake just stood there, waiting for his chance to speak again. The laughter in the council chamber was so loud that Jake could feel it in his bones. Every alien species was having a good time making fun of the humans. Some were pointing at them. Others were making sounds that must have been laughter in their own languages. Jake stood there, waiting for them to stop. Lisa Carter stood up next to her captain. She was not a tall woman, but she had a strong voice. "With respect, honored delegates," she said, "humanity has something different to offer. We have experience with dead languages. We have figured out lost civilizations before. Our ways of studying old writing might give us a new way to look at the problem." This made the aliens laugh even harder. Ambassador Ziegter from the Hegemony Coalition was a purple being with too many teeth. "A new way to look at it?" he said with a nasty smile. "You mean primitive guesswork from a species that still uses physical books?" Jake felt his hands turn into fists. He wanted to punch something, but he knew that would prove they were right about humans being primitive. Instead, he kept his voice calm and steady. "We have decoded Egyptian hieroglyphs," Jake said. "We figured out Sumerian cuneiform and linear. We have brought dead languages back to life from just small pieces. If you are so sure you are better than us, what harm could there be in letting us try?" This seemed to make some of the aliens think. The room was not laughing as much now. Some species were talking to each other in their own languages. Jake could not understand them, but he could tell they were arguing about something. Amanda Brooks stood up too. She was the diplomat, the one who was supposed to be good at talking to aliens. "The way we see it," she said, "you have tried for 3,000 years and failed. What do you have to lose by letting us try for a few months?" "General." Thox made a sound like growling. "You have to lose your dignity when you fail. And you will fail. This is not some cave painting from your little planet. This is the most important writing in the galaxy. Then you should want every possible chance to unlock it," Peter Hayes said. He had been quiet until now, but Jake could see he was angry. 2. If it is so important, why not let everyone try? The room broke into heated discussions. Each species was talking among themselves, trying to decide what to do. Jake could see that some thought it was a good idea to let humans try. Others thought it was insulting to even suggest it. The Zephyrians, the Crystal People, or flashing different colors as they talked. The Korthik were waving their 6 arms around. The Vailani were floating in circles, which Jake had learned. Meant they were upset. Finally, Vexthel raised his hand for quiet. His crystal body was glowing brighter than before. "The council will vote," he announced. "All in favor of granting humanity access to the sacred archives?" Jake held his breath. This was it. Either they would get their chance, or they would be laughed out of the galaxy forever. The voting system was strange. Each species had a crystal that would glow green for yes or red for no. Jake watched as the crystals around the room started to light up. Many of the crystals were red. The Korthik voted no. The Hegemony Coalition voted no. The Stellar Federation voted no. Jake started to feel sick. They were going to lose. But then some crystals started glowing green. The Vailani voted yes, which surprised Jake. Some of the smaller species voted yes too. The Zephyrians took a long time to decide, but finally their crystal glowed green. When all the votes were counted, it was close. Very close. But the green lights outnumbered the red ones by just 3 votes. "The motion passes," Vexthel announced. "Humanity will be granted access to the sacred archives." Jake felt like he might fall over. They had done it. They had actually convinced the council to let them try. But then Vexthel continued talking, and his voice was not friendly. "However, there will be conditions. You will have 6 months to show progress. You will work under constant supervision. And if you fail, humanity will not be allowed to request access to any sacred sites for 50 years. The room was quiet now. Jake realized that most of the aliens had voted yes, because they wanted to see the humans fail in a big, public way. They wanted to prove once and for all that humans were too young and stupid to handle important things. "We accept the conditions," Jake said without hesitation. "Excellent," Vexthel said, and his crystal body flashed in a way that Jake had learned. Meant he was happy. "The humans will begin their work next week. I am sure we will all be very interested to see what they accomplish." As the meeting ended, Jake and his team were surrounded by aliens. Most of them were not being friendly. They were making jokes and asking questions that were meant to embarrass the humans. "Tell me, Dr. Carter," said a snake-like being from the Serpent Worlds, "what makes you think you can write a language that has stumped the greatest minds in the galaxy?" Lisa looked the alien right in the eyes. "Because we are not afraid to try new things. Sometimes the greatest minds get stuck thinking the same way. Fresh eyes can see things that old eyes miss." "Fresh eyes or naive eyes?" the alien asked with a hiss. "I guess we will find out," Lisa said calmly. As they walked back to their quarters, Jake felt the weight of what they had just done. They had committed to doing something that might be impossible. If they failed, it would prove to everyone that humans did not belong in the galaxy. "Are you sure about this?" Amanda asked quietly. Jake looked at his team. Lisa was already pulling out her notes about ancient languages. Peter was making lists of things they would need. Amanda was thinking about how to handle the political side of things. "No," Jake said honestly. "I am not sure about anything. But I am sure that we have to try. This is our chance to prove that humans belong here." Lisa looked up from her notes. "You know what the funny thing is? They are all laughing at us for being young. But sometimes being young is exactly what you need. Young minds think differently. They are not trapped by old ideas. So you think we can do it?" Peter asked. Lisa smiled. "I think we are about to find out what humans are really capable of. And I think the galaxy is going to be very surprised." Jake felt better hearing that. Tomorrow, they would start the hardest job any human had ever attempted. They would try to unlock secrets that had been hidden for thousands of years. They would probably fail, but they were going to try anyway, because that is what humans do. The archive chambers were deep underground beneath the council building. Jake had never seen anything like them. The walls were made of some kind of metal that seemed to glow with its own light. The ceiling was so high that it disappeared into darkness. And everywhere there were shelves full of crystal tablets. Dr. Lisa Carter stood in the middle of the main chamber, looking around in wonder. "There must be thousands of them," she said quietly. The crystal tablets were not like anything from Earth. They were clear like glass, but they seemed to be alive. The writing on them moved and changed when you looked at them from different angles. Sometimes the symbols would glow brighter or dimmer. It was beautiful and mysterious at the same time. "The Forerunner texts," said Keeper Yulnoth, the alien, who took care of the archives. He looked like a giant slug with arms, and he moved very slowly. "They have been here for over 3,000 years. Many species have tried to read them. All have failed." Lisa walked over to one of the tablets and looked at it closely. The symbols were unlike anything she had ever seen. They were not like Egyptian hieroglyphs or Chinese characters. They seemed to flow and dance on the crystal surface. "How many tablets are there?" asked Dr. Kevin Ross, one of the new team members who had joined them. He was an expert in very old Earth languages. "Over 10,000, Yulmith replied. "Some are books of history. Others contain scientific knowledge. There are poems and songs and stories, but no one can read any of it." Dr. Nicole Adams, the third member of their expanded team, was setting up her equipment. She was good at finding patterns in things that looked random. "Have other species tried to find patterns in the writing?" she asked. "Of course," Yulnoth said. His voice sounded like he thought the question was stupid. "Every approach has been tried. Mathematical analysis, computer translation, even telepathic attempts. Nothing has worked." Lisa picked up one of the smaller tablets. It was warm to the touch and seemed to vibrate slightly. "What do we know about the Forerunners themselves?" "Very little," Yulnoth admitted. "They disappeared long before any current species developed space travel. All we know is that they were very advanced, and they left these texts behind." Jake watched his team get to work. They had brought equipment from Earth that the aliens had never seen before. Computers that could analyze patterns in ways that alien technology could not. Cameras that could see things the naked eye missed. And, most importantly, they had human brains that thought differently than alien minds. The work was slow and difficult. Every day, Lisa and her team would study the tablets for hours. They would take pictures and make notes. They would try to find patterns in the symbols. But for weeks, nothing made sense. The alien archivists would check on them regularly. They would ask questions like, "Any progress, humans?" in voices that clearly expected the answer to be no. Jake could see that his team was getting frustrated. "Maybe they are right," Kevin said one evening as they sat in their quarters. "Maybe this is impossible." "Do not say that," Lisa said firmly. "We have only been working for 6 weeks. The Rosetta Stone took years to decode. Linear B took decades. We just need to keep trying." "But this is not like Earth languages," Nicole said. "The symbols do not stay the same. They change when you look at them. How can we analyze something that keeps changing?" Lisa had been thinking about this problem for days. "Maybe the changing is part of the language," she said. "Maybe the movement of the symbols is how they communicate meaning." This was a new idea. No one had thought about the movement as part of the language before. They had all been trying to treat the symbols like normal writing that just happened to move. The breakthrough came during their 4th month of work. Lisa was working late one night, studying a tablet that seemed to contain some kind of historical record. Kevin was with her, and Nicole was running pattern analysis on her computer. "Lisa, look at this," Kevin said suddenly. He was pointing to a section of the tablet where several symbols were arranged in a specific pattern. "Does this remind you of anything?" Lisa looked at the symbols. They were flowing and changing, but there was something familiar about the way they moved. It looks like ... No, that is impossible. What? Nicole asked, coming over to look. The root structure, Lisa said slowly. It looks like Proto-Indo-European, but that cannot be right. Proto-Indo-European was spoken on Earth thousands of years ago. Kevin was getting excited. But look at this pattern here. This is definitely a verb conjugation. And the syntax. It is like Sanskrit, but older, much older. Nicole was running the symbols through her computer. The mathematical relationships are consistent with Indo-European language families. But the complexity is far beyond anything we have seen. Lisa felt her heart start to beat faster. Run a comparison with our database of ancient Earth languages. All of them. Nicole's fingers flew over her keyboard. Data began to appear on the screen. Pattern matches, structural similarities, root word connections. The computer was finding links between the Forerunner symbols and languages from Earth. This is impossible, Kevin whispered. The matches are too strong to be coincidence. Lisa was staring at the screen in amazement. Unless it is not coincidence. Unless the Forerunners somehow influenced the development of human language. But how could that be? Nicole asked. The Forerunners disappeared thousands of years before humans even existed. Maybe they did not disappear, Lisa said quietly. Maybe they just went somewhere else. Maybe they went to Earth. The three humans worked through the night, testing their theory. They found connection after connection. Forerunner symbols that looked like ancient Sanskrit. Grammar rules that matched Latin. Sentence structures that were similar to Greek. It was as if the Forerunners had somehow planted the seeds of human language across Earth. By morning, they had translated their first complete sentence from the Forerunner texts. It was simple and beautiful. The children of distant stars will remember our words. Lisa stared at the translation on her screen. They knew, she said softly. Somehow, they knew the humans would come. They knew that we would be able to read their language. Because it is our language too, Kevin said. It is where human language came from. Nicole was already working on the next section of text. If this is true, if the Forerunners visited Earth and influenced human development, then we are not just random aliens who happened to figure out their writing. We are their descendants. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. We need to tell Jake immediately. This changes everything. As the sun rose over Nexus Prime, the three humans sat in the archive chamber, surrounded by thousands of crystal tablets that were no longer mysterious. They were family records, left behind by ancestors that humans had never known they had. The galaxy is going to be very surprised, Lisa said. Good, Kevin replied. I am getting tired of being laughed at, Nicole smiled. Wait until they find out that the species they have been mocking is actually the oldest in the galaxy. Outside, the alien archivists were arriving for their daily shift. They had no idea that everything they thought they knew about the galaxy had just changed forever. Jake Morrison had been in a lot of important meetings during his time in the military and as a diplomat, but none of them had felt as heavy as this one. His team was gathered in their private quarters, and the weight of what they had discovered was making everyone quiet. We need to be very careful about how we tell the council, Jake said, pacing back and forth across the room. What we have found is bigger than just translating some old books. Lisa Carter sat at the table with her computer open, showing page after page of translated text. The Forerunners did not just visit Earth, she said. They lived there. They taught our ancestors language, agriculture, basic technology. They shaped human civilization. Amanda Brooks leaned forward, her diplomat training kicking in. Do we have proof? Real proof that will convince the council? Look at this, Dr. Kevin Ross said, pointing to a section of translated text on the screen. This is a detailed description of Earth's solar system. It describes the sun, the planets, even the asteroid belt. It was written thousands of years before humans had telescopes. Dr. Nicole Adams had been running calculations on her computer. The linguistic connections are undeniable. Over 60% of Forerunner root words have direct connections to ancient human languages. The probability of this being random is essentially zero. Peter Hayes, who had been quiet through most of the meeting, finally spoke up. What about the other species? If the Forerunners visited Earth, did they visit other worlds too? Lisa scrolled through more of the translated texts. According to what we have read so far, yes. The Forerunners traveled to many worlds. They influenced the development of dozens of species. But Earth was special. Special how? Jake asked. The texts call it the final garden. It was their last stop before they disappeared. They spent more time on Earth than anywhere else. They left more of themselves there. Amanda was thinking like a diplomat. So all the species in the galaxy were influenced by the Forerunners. But humans have the strongest connection. It is more than that, Lisa said, her voice getting excited. Look at this passage. She read from the screen. When the time of great testing comes, when darkness threatens to consume the light, the children of the final garden will rise. They will speak with our voice and carry our wisdom to the stars. The room was silent for a long moment. Jake felt like someone had just told him that everything he thought he knew about the world was wrong. They were preparing us, he said slowly. The Forerunners were preparing humanity for something. But what? Peter asked. Lisa continued reading. The texts talk about a great enemy that the Forerunners fought. Something they called the Void Seekers. They won the war, but they knew the enemy would return someday. And they thought humans would be the ones to fight them when they came back? Amanda asked. Not just humans, Lisa said. All the species working together. But humans were supposed to be the ones to unite everyone. The ones who could speak the ancient language and unlock the Forerunner knowledge. Jake sat down heavily in his chair. So we are not just random aliens who happen to figure out their writing. We are part of their plan. It looks that way, Kevin said. And there is more. The texts describe technologies that are far beyond anything the current galactic species have. Weapons that could destroy stars. Ships that can travel faster than light. Medicine that can cure any disease. All locked away in these texts, Nicole added. Waiting for someone who could read them. Waiting for us, Jake said. Lisa nodded. The Forerunners knew that the galaxy would need this knowledge someday. They hid it in a language that only their most direct descendants could understand. They were counting on humans to find it when the time was right. Amanda was looking worried. But if we tell the Council this, how will they react? They have been mocking us for being young and primitive. Now we have to tell them that we are actually the inheritors of the galaxy's greatest civilization. Some of them will not believe us, Peter said. They will think we are lying or making it up. Others will be angry, Jake added. They have been treating us like children. Finding out that we are actually the galaxy's chosen people will not make them happy. Lisa was still reading through the texts. There is something else. The Forerunners left instructions. Specific things that humans are supposed to do when they find these texts. Like what? Jake asked. First, we are supposed to translate all the texts and share the knowledge with all species. Second, we are supposed to help prepare the galaxy for the return of the Void Seekers. And third, she paused, looking uncomfortable. Third what? Amanda pressed. Third, we are supposed to take leadership of the galactic defense. The Forerunners believed that humans would be the best at commanding the combined forces of all species. Jake felt like the room was spinning. They want us to be in charge of the entire galaxy? Not in charge, Lisa corrected. Leaders. There is a difference. The texts talk about humans being guides and teachers, not rulers. Tell that to the Korthik, Peter said grimly. They are not going to want to take orders from humans. Which is why we need to be very careful about how we present this, Amanda said. We cannot just walk into the council and announce that we are the chosen ones. Jake was thinking hard. What if we start small? What if we just tell them that we have successfully translated the texts? We can share some of the knowledge without telling them about the larger implications. That might work, Lisa said. We can prove that we can read the language by translating things that can be verified. Then, once they trust us, we can gradually reveal more. But eventually, we will have to tell them everything, Kevin pointed out. The texts are clear about what humans are supposed to do. One step at a time, Jake said. First, we prove we can read the language. Then we share some of the knowledge. Then we start preparing for what is coming. Amanda was making notes. We will need to be very diplomatic about this. Some species will be grateful for the knowledge. Others will be jealous or angry. We need to handle each one differently. Lisa was looking at a specific passage on her screen. There is one more thing. The Forerunners left a message specifically for the humans who would eventually find these texts. What does it say? Jake asked. Lisa read aloud. To our children of the distant blue world, you have carried our words in your hearts across the long years. You have kept our language alive when all others forgot it. Now the time has come to remember who you are and what you were meant to do. Do not fear the task before you. You are stronger than you know, and you are not alone. The wisdom of all who came before flows through you. Jake felt tears in his eyes. They knew we would feel scared and alone when we found this. They left us a message of hope, Lisa said softly. They believed in us even before we existed. So what do we do now? Nicole asked. Jake stood up, feeling more determined than he had in months. We do what humans have always done. We face the impossible and find a way to make it possible. The council meeting is tomorrow, Amanda reminded him. Then tomorrow we change the galaxy, Jake said. We show them that the species they have been mocking is actually their salvation. As his team prepared for the most important presentation in human history, Jake looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Void Seekers were waiting. But thanks to the Forerunners, humanity would be ready for them. The council chamber had never been so crowded. Word had spread across the galaxy that the humans claimed to have done the impossible. Species that rarely left their home systems had sent representatives. Even the mysterious Void Walkers, who had not attended a council meeting in decades, had arrived to witness what would happen. Jake Morrison stood at the presentation platform, looking out at hundreds of alien faces. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. Most looked like they were waiting for a good show when the humans failed publicly. Vexthil, the crystal speaker, called for order. His body was glowing brighter than usual, which Jake had learned meant he was excited. The human delegation claims to have achieved what no species has done in 3,000 years. Captain Morrison, present your findings. Jake took a deep breath. Honored delegates, we have successfully translated the Forerunner archives. But what we found is bigger than just reading old books. We have discovered a truth that will change how we think about the galaxy. Some aliens in the audience made sounds of disbelief. General Thox, the six-armed Korthik, was already shaking his head. This should be interesting, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. Dr. Lisa Carter stepped forward and activated the holographic display. The first Forerunner text appeared in the air above the platform, its symbols flowing and changing. Next to it appeared the human translation in the common galactic language. We are the shapers of stars, the gardeners of worlds, Lisa read aloud. In the spiral arms of this galaxy, we have planted seeds of thought and speech, of culture and wisdom. We have walked among the children of 1,000 suns, teaching them to reach for the light. A murmur went through the chamber. The translation was clear and beautiful. It did not sound like guesswork or primitive interpretation. The Forerunners were not just an advanced civilization, Lisa continued. They were teachers. They visited world after world, helping young species develop language, culture, and technology. Ambassador Zikdar from the Hegemony Coalition stood up. Even if this translation is accurate, it tells us nothing new. We already knew the Forerunners were advanced. But look at this, Dr. Kevin Ross said, reading up a new text. This describes the formation of the crystal caves on Zephyr Prime. It gives exact measurements, mineral compositions, even the specific frequencies of light that created the crystal growth. The Zephyrian delegates leaned forward. Vexthal's crystal body was flashing different colors rapidly. Those measurements are classified information. They are not in any public records. Because this text was written before your species even existed, Lisa said. The Forerunners were there when the caves were formed. They watched it happen. Dr. Nicole Adams brought up another text. This one describes the twin moons of Korthik. It gives their orbital periods down to the second. It describes the unique mineral deposits that make them valuable for trade. General Thox was standing now, his 6 arms waving in agitation. Impossible. That information is known only to our most secret archives. The Forerunners visited your world too, Jake said, calmly. They influenced your development, just like they influenced every species in this room. The chamber was getting noisy. Species were talking to each other in their own languages, trying to understand what the humans were saying. Jake could see fear and confusion on many faces. Sarah Lynn, the ghostly Villani ambassador, floated closer to the platform. If what you say is true, then the Forerunners shaped all of our civilizations. We are all their children. Yes, Lisa said. But some children have a closer connection to their parents than others. She brought up a new display showing the linguistic analysis that Nicole had done. It showed the connections between Forerunner symbols and the languages of different species. Every species had some connection, but one line was much thicker than the others. Human languages are not just influenced by Forerunner speech, Lisa explained. They are direct descendants of it. The Forerunners visited Earth and lived there for thousands of years. They taught humans language, agriculture, basic technology. They shaped human civilization more than any other. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Many species were shouting at once. Some were saying the humans were lying. Others were demanding proof. A few were asking what this meant for the galaxy. Vexthil had to use his sonic amplifiers to restore order. These are serious claims, he said. Do you have proof beyond linguistic analysis? We have the words of the Forerunners themselves. Lisa said. She brought up a new text, one that they had saved for this moment. This is from what they called the Final Testament. She began to read. Our time in this galaxy grows short. We have done what we came to do. The seeds are planted, the children are taught, the path is prepared. But one world calls to us above. All others. The blue world of the third sun, where the young ones think and dream and create. These will be our true inheritors. The chamber was completely silent now. Every alien was listening intently. We will make our final garden there. Lisa continued. We will give these young ones the gift of our language, our knowledge, our purpose. When the darkness returns, as we know it will, they will be ready. They will speak with our voice and carry our wisdom to the stars. Jake stepped forward. They, Forerunners, were not just teachers. They were preparing the galaxy for something. They knew that a great enemy would return someday. They left instructions for how to face this threat. What enemy? Vexthal asked, his crystal body dimming with. Concerned. Lisa brought up another text. They called them the Void Seekers. According to the archives, They are beings that consume entire star systems. The Forerunners fought them once and won, but they knew the enemy would return. And they thought humans would be the ones to fight. Them? General Fox asked, his voice full of disbelief. Not just humans, Jake said. All of us working together. But humans were meant to be the ones who could unlock the Forerunner knowledge and help coordinate the defense. Dr. Nicole Adams brought up a new display showing technical diagrams. The archives contain detailed plans for weapons and defenses beyond anything we have today. Star-destroying cannons, ships that can travel faster than light, shields that can protect entire planets. The implications were staggering. Many delegates were standing now, talking urgently to their aides. The humans had just told them that their entire understanding of galactic history was wrong. There is more, Lisa sighed. The Forerunners left a civic message for humanity. She brought up the final text they had prepared. To the children of the distant blue world, you have carried our words in your hearts across the long years. You have kept our language alive when all others forgot it. Now the time has come to remember who you are and what you were meant to do. Jake felt the weight of 3,000 years of history pressing down on him. We are not the youngest species in the galaxy. We are the inheritors of its oldest wisdom. The chamber was in chaos now. Some species were demanding to see the original texts. Others were arguing about whether the translations could be trusted. A few were asking what this meant for the balance of power in the galaxy. Ambassador Sarah Lynn floated closer to the platform. If this is true, if humans are truly the chosen inheritors of the Forerunners, then everything changes. It does not have to change everything, Amanda Brooks said, stepping forward. We are not here to rule over anyone. We are here to share what we have learned and to help prepare for what is coming. But you would have us believe that you are superior to us, General Fox said angrily. That you have some divine right to lead the galaxy. We would have you believe that we are all in this together, Jake said firmly. The Forerunners did not choose humans to be rulers. They chose us to be teachers and guides. There is a difference. Peter Hayes brought up a star chart showing the outer rim of the galaxy. According to the archives, this is where the Void Seekers will return. We may have years to prepare, or we may have months. Either way, we need to start working together now. The debate continued for hours. Some species were convinced by the evidence. Others refused to believe it. A few were angry that humans had kept this discovery secret for so long. But slowly, as more and more of the archives were translated and shared, even the skeptics began to accept the truth. The linguistic evidence was too strong to ignore. The technical knowledge was too advanced to be fake. The historical details were too accurate to be guessed. Finally, Vexthal called for order one last time. If what the humans say is true, then we must decide how to proceed. The Council will take a recess to consider these revelations. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, many stopped to speak with the human team. Some were respectful, even grateful. Others were still suspicious. But none of them were laughing anymore. Jake looked at his team, exhausted but proud. They had done it. They had proven that humans belonged in the galaxy, not as junior members, but as the keepers of its most important secrets. What happens now? Lisa asked. Jake looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's great windows. Now we prepare. We teach. We get ready for what is coming. And if the other species do not want to follow our lead, Amanda asked, then we remind them that we are not asking them to follow us, Jake said. We are asking them to follow the Forerunners. And the Forerunners chose us to carry their message. Over the following days, the galaxy began to see